G'day guys, welcome to vlog number 10. We've made it this far. 10 vlogs. Not many viewers, but 10 vlogs. I'm enjoying doing it. And the few of you that are watching, I hope you're enjoying it too. Things are going pretty good. Probably better than what my skill level should be. If you saw the last vlog, $2,110 up since I've started the vlog in my little dollar games I've played and a few tournaments. So yeah, very happy with that. Hopefully we can keep the run going tonight. Lovely day here in South Australia, or in Adelaide. Middle of spring, 26 degrees outside. So looking forward to having a game of poker. Haven't played for 3 weeks, been a bit busy. We've had speedway racing, which my son raced 2 weeks ago, opening night, so we've been getting cars set up and stuff like that. He ended up coming third in the feature, so pretty good effort. And the engine not really running quite how we want it to, so pretty happy with the third under those conditions. And I've been away at Bathurst, which is the biggest car race in Australia. It's a touring car race, V8 supercars they call them, and they get about 60 to 70,000 people there, with about 20,000 camping up on top of the hill for about 3 or 4 days. So we had a group of us went over there, good fun, good party atmosphere, good racing, and we also downed a few beers while we were there. So good fun, but back now and looking forward to a game of poker tonight. Hopefully I can keep the run going, fingers crossed, and the main aim is to catch you guys in about 10 hours or so down Hindley Street again in the kebab shop having a kebab, because that'll mean I've won. Or if I'm real miserable, I might have a kebab anyway. So hopefully catch you then. Chase, where are we going now? Yep.
There's one here. There you go, man.
More, oh, no, that's right.
You got one camera specifically for you. Yeah. You got me in trouble yesterday.
Yep.
What if you need it?
Thank you. G'day guys, how's it going? Going to try my first hand review using Share My Pair. It's an app. It seems to work okay. Seen it on a few other vlogs. Got to be easier than the way I've been doing it. My self-taught version I did on the other vlogs took me ages to do. So I'm hoping this is going to cut a bit of time, make it a bit easier for me. So we'll see how it goes. With this first one, on the button, I get a nice hand here of Ace of Clubs, King of Clubs. Under the gun calls, then it folds around to middle position, who also calls. Gets back to me, and I end up raising it to $17. That gets rid of the 2 blinds. Under the gun calls the 15, and so does the middle player. So we get to see a flop. 3 runners, not a bad flop. Ace of spades, jack of spades, 10 of hearts, so I pair up, queen for a gutser, so not looking too bad at this stage. It checks around to me again, and I end up betting $25, and both other players call. Turn is a 3 of diamonds, not much help to anyone, checks around to me. This time I bet $30, and I get 2 calls again, and so we wait on the river, and we get a King of Clubs. So it's not too bad, not a real good card for me. Queen is going to, any queen's going to give a straight. The only other ones I'm worried about is trips. The way the betting's going, I'm feeling reasonably confident except for a queen. Ends up the under the gun checks. Then it gets around to the middle player who goes all in for his $120. So now I go into the tank, not too sure what's happening here. Probably got too excited with the 2 pair, didn't think about it enough. As I said, any queen's going to beat me. Probably should have been a fold, but I ended up calling. Under the gun also called, which made it worse, and then the middle player turns over a pair of jacks to make his trips. So don't think I played this one that well, thinking back at it. So yeah, not a real good hand for me. So let me know in the comments what you think, but I think I stuffed up a bit there. So after that other last hand, I end up rebuying in for another $200. So I'm in for $500 at this stage. Managed to claw my way back to being $50 up after an hour or so. And that table ended up shutting at about 2 o'clock in the morning. I get put onto another table. I'm probably there for about 15-20 minutes. Played a couple little hands, but not much happening. Fairly tight table. When I run into a hand against a guy who was a little bit on tilt, he'd just lost the previous hand. He was standing up whinging and moaning, and I get stuck in this hand with him, where I'm in under the gun with ace of spades, king of spades. I give it a bit of a raise to the 25. It folds all the way around to the tilt player who was at the cutoff. He decides to up it to $85. I look at his chip count, he's only got 107 left. He's a bit on tilt, so I think I've probably got him beat, so I decided to put him all in. He obliges with it, and we get to see a flop. We both had ace-king, but I had the spades. And as you can see on the flop, I get a couple of spades, which didn't make him very happy. As it was, the turn ends up coming a 10 of spades, and I pick up my flush and a $388 pot, much to his disgust. So this next hand, fairly interesting one. The guy on the big blinds just moved across from one of the bigger tables that's just closed down. Angry Asian guy. Didn't see him smile all night. Had my eye on him a little bit because he got in a bit of trouble about an hour earlier on the table he was on. Caused a bit of a stir. I'm going to go through what happened with that. It might help a few of the newer players out as to what not to do. So with this hand, I end up getting dealt a pair of aces. So it folds around to me. I bet $22. The hijack then raises it up to 45. Folds back around to the big blind, the angry Asian guy, and he calls and I call. We now get to see a flop, which is a fairly handy flop for me. So I get my trip aces. There is a couple of diamonds down there. So I decide to check it because I think the pre-raiser, the original raiser, is going to bet again. So I check it, goes around, and he ends up betting $45. The big blind all of a sudden raises it to $90, so it gets around to me. At the moment, I've obviously got the best hand. Someone there had to be on a flush draw, so I've decided to make him pay for it. So I go all in. The hijack, he thinks for a while, goes into the tank, and ends up folding. He tells me later on that he folded a pair of kings. It then gets back around to the big blind, who was still grumpy as hell. He went in the tank too, and then he was a bit frustrated, and he said all in, shoves it all in to call. So we continue on, and he was obviously after the flush draw, and pretty lucky there. On the turn, I get a 9 to pair up for the full house. We hadn't showed our cards at this stage, and when the flush come up at the end, he yelled out yes and chucked his cards down. I turned over my full house, and he wasn't real happy. So pretty good pot there. I think there the pot ended up being $692. Very nice. So just going through a couple of mistakes that a couple of guys made that night that might help any of the new players out there. First one is that angry Asian guy. When he was on one of the bigger tables there, he got heads up against opponent. The opponent went all in. The Asian guy sits back and he says to himself, all in, as in a question, saying that the other guy's all in. The dealer heard him say all in, and that was the end of him. He had to go all in. So be very careful what you're saying. Don't say anything unless you mean it. As it was, I think he ended up winning that pot, so he got a bit lucky and probably unlucky for the other player. The other trouble we had was on our table with one hand. There was an Asian guy on about seat 7. His English wasn't real good, and he was up against a player in seat 1, a little bit hidden by the dealer. The guy in seat 7 went all in. Guy in position 1, hidden a bit by the dealer, goes in the tank. He's thinking about whether he's going to call or not. He ends up calling, but he just slid his money in. The dealer didn't say much, so the dealer was a bit quiet, but if you were watching, you would have known what was happening. Bloke in seat 7 thought he'd folded and mucked his cards, chucked them straight in face down. He still didn't know what was going on until the dealer slid all the money to the guy at seat 1. That's when he went off his tree, yelling out he had a full house. But he should have been watching the table, so it was all his fault. If ever I've got a hand, even if I bet and everyone folds, I wait until they slide the money into me before I muck my cards. So make sure you know 100% what's happening throughout each hand. Otherwise you're going to get stuck and you could lose money. Hope that helps a couple of you. Yeah, buddy. Good.
Fill a cup of coffee from Perth. You're about to watch me. First, I'm in the studio, get me place the tracks. Truly, bro, so much person in the phone. Took you down, think you heard of me, though. You're having a nice night, hit preserved me, bro. I'm blind tight, man, cause I'm burning the folk in person I go. Yeah, my name is Brenton Torrance, I'm an up and comer. Rap you often would you love another.
There you go, buddy.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed the show. When I skip this, yeah, cause my noise is gone. There's a choice to show.
It's sort of what it is.
back in the van heading home. We've done a bit of a trip down Hindley Street tonight, the party street, my favourite street in Adelaide. Got a few of the buskers tonight. Got there a bit earlier again, that was taken at probably about 3:30. So I finished up a little bit early, got in front, and I thought I'll get out. I had a bit of a rough night earlier on, then I got back into it. Had a bad hand earlier on in the night where I called an all-in bloke who was all in for 150 bucks, and I had 2 pair aces and kings. Looking back at it, there was probably too many options for the other guy. There was straights and flushes, so it was a bit of a silly look looking back at it. But yeah, so I had to start clawing my way back, got back up to even about midnight or so, and then got in front a bit. Then the table closed, went to another table, and started getting a few hands, and then I had 2 real pearlers of hands. So I'll go through those in the hand reviews when I do them. So ended up buying in total for 500 bucks and cashed out for 975, so 475 bucks up. Pretty happy with that, with the 2-2 game. Again, got pretty busy in there. There's only 8 tables in the poker room, but by about 10 o'clock there you had 7 of them all full up, so it wasn't a bad night. A little bit tougher than the last time I played there. For some reason there just wasn't quite so many fish there, but it was still a pretty good game, so pretty happy with that. I think I told you all this up in the casino, so you'll probably be hearing it twice. I just didn't know whether the sound was going to come through when I tried to sneak that little video up in the sports room. So we'll see how this goes. Heading home now. I'm about an hour and 10 minutes, just heading out of the city now, so be home in about an hour and 10 minutes. Have a good old sleep, and meeting a few mates in the pub tomorrow afternoon, so we'll have a few beers, seeing I've had a quiet one tonight, and might even be able to get a little bit of editing done on this one, seeing I've finally caught up. I'm caught up with my editing, so now I know what to do with the editing. I'm a little bit quicker at it, but it still takes you a good probably 5-6 hours the way I do it, and I'm learning all my editing just through Google, so I'm a bit done with all that stuff, but I'm gradually getting there, so pretty happy with how much I've learned so far, and hopefully it keeps getting better the more I do it. So catch you guys later.